Hi guys, so I just got a text message from it's like a little sister of mine about her best friend, and the text was about her mom passing. And the reason I wanted to do this video is because I know a lot of times people just don't know what to do when that happens, when you're the friend of someone who mother has passed, or when it's your mom. My mother passed in 2007 of pancreatic cancer, and the great part was it wasn't just a random date. It was Easter, and every year Easter is on a different day. So not only did I get to remember every Easter that my mother passed, but there was Easter, and then there was the date it fell on every single year, which is two separate dates. Then you go through your mom or your dad. I'm not discounting fathers at all, because I think a lot of times we pretend like they don't have any meaning, or people don't have feelings about when their dad passes. But we all understand why the passing of someone who you lived inside of for 9 months is devastating. But dads too, on this note, but I'm just going to refer to moms. Then it is that my mom's birthday. I'm going to speak from my point of view. Then it was Mother's Day. That was fun. And especially because I worked in a restaurant and I got to look at all these wonderful people who were celebrating with their mom, which was lovely for them. Then it was, my birthday maybe, or a significant date or a significant event, or this was my favorite thing when something great happened and I went to go for the phone and I realized I couldn't make a call that I wanted to make. My friends were really good about doing the best that they knew how to do in a situation that they never been in before. None of our circle had ever lost their parents. My mother was 49. Was very young. Did not even hit 50. And I was 23, I believe. Still very young, even though I, own apartment, car, job, all that fun stuff. Still very, very young. And in the conversation that I had today with my little sister, I guess is a good term for, is that the one thing that I would be concerned about her best friend is that when you are young and you don't have, or when I was younger, my point of view again, and I didn't have children, there was a suicidal level of depression that I would hit every so often, because all I wanted to do was be with my mother. I'm not under the belief that suicide automatically puts you into hell. I apologize to anybody that's offended. I just don't. I don't think God is that cruel. But at the same time, I do believe that a better day can be tomorrow, or right around the corner, or a year from now. And that was 2007, 2015. This year, thank God, I just gave birth to my daughter. So now I get to be a mom, and I get to spend as many years with her as I possibly can and teach her everything that my mother taught me. But for the years that I didn't have a daughter, I knew who my dogs would go to, and past that, I didn't have too many things that I felt were worth being on this earth for. So there were no physical attempts, but the level of depression was, I would say, a nudge away from possibly doing something. One thing I had to keep in mind was the way that I felt in grieving was the way that other people would feel in grieving. And I wouldn't want anybody to feel that pain over me. So it would kind of be, that's why they call it a selfish act, because you don't consider how it's going to leave other people feeling. I still had a father. And even though he was married to my stepmother, he went into his own depression where he needed antidepressants over my mother, who they've been divorced and separated for some years. So I consider if that was him, then I would probably have multiple people that would be very upset if I left this earth, especially at my age. Although age doesn't really make anybody else feel better to say, oh, they were this old or this old. People still miss them. But I know that people would definitely, you know, feel my loss if I was gone, and I didn't want anybody to feel the way I felt. I didn't want anybody to grieve over me. It's always a human curiosity who would be sad if I passed, but it was never anything that I wanted to purposely do to my friends or my family. So really keep that in mind if that's where your headspace is. If nothing else, you will be reunited with your mother or whomever you're grieving over one day, but don't put other people in grief because you decided that, you know, you wanted to end it. I do get it. I get how sad you can be. I get how horrible it is, but remember, there are people who want you here just like you want that person back you're grieving over. So that was my perspective from not having children. It was very hard to get through, because even if you have people who supported you or people to talk to, those moments came when I was just by myself. And everybody's going to be by themselves at some point in time, whether it's right before you go to sleep or a day off, or when your mind stops, or when you stop being busy with stuff, whatever the case may be. But it was when everything kind of slowed down. Her funeral wasn't even sad, and my first breakdown didn't come till about a year later. I believe it was about a year later. And it was because I had a dream I was hugging her, and maybe it was the pillow I was hugging, but I was hugging her and she was there, and I astral project sometimes, so I really believe she was right there. And I felt her, the curves of her body, her face was right in front of mine. And then it felt like I was just zapped back into my body, sucked back, pulled back, and I opened up my eyes kind of dazed and looking at the mirror that was my bedroom closet and realizing where I was and what the reality of the situation was. So from one moment to the next, she was there and then she wasn't. And when I say there, I mean right in front of my face, hugging her physically. And that's when I had my first breakdown. I didn't really cry about it till about a year later. And my best friends happened to be sitting next to each other, and they just passed the phone and just talked to me and let me cry. The funeral, we kept all white, and we had people tell happy stories. And she said cremate her and take the money. That was always her wishes. She didn't want to look horrible in the casket. And that's what we did. And what I needed, and everybody's different, and you could just ask that person, what do you need right now? What I needed was just to know that when I needed somebody, somebody would be there. And I'm blessed with 3 best friends and even more really good friends that I can pick up the phone and talk to. I was also blessed with a big brother that my mother kind of adopted in high school, who had lost his biological mother, his grandmother, and then my mother at that time. And I felt if he could be that strong, not to say he didn't have moments of strength and being vulnerable, which we like to call weakness. I think it's very strong to be weak and vulnerable. And I'm probably going to shed a tear for this. But I felt if he can get through those losses back to back, one love after another, one mommy figure after another, then I would be okay. I did have a stepmother. I do still have a stepmother. I don't like to even call her step, but I try to differentiate because I had a wonderful mother. So I like to, titles are important to me. My stepmother is wonderful, a wonderful, wonderful woman to be there and to be around since I did not have my mother. But I needed to know that when I needed somebody, somebody would be there, because I don't break down about stuff right when it happens. I kind of process, figure out if there's something I can do about it, you know, figure out what I need to do next. And then when all of that's handled, the logical stuff is handled, then that's when I just break down. Another thing to look out for and to look out for that person and to look out for yourself if you are experiencing this, is I started to have anxiety attacks, and it wasn't fully because of my mom. That was a major part of it. It was because for the next few years to come, there were major life changing events that occurred that were devastating to me, and they happened so close together, and they happened without me having the health insurance, the mental health insurance, which I definitely encourage. If you can afford it or it's in your health insurance plan, to go lay on somebody's couch. I never laid on somebody's couch. You know, we're not really taught that in too many communities. Death is a part of life. You don't have to go talk to somebody about it. But I started having anxiety attacks so bad that I eventually got paralyzed on my living room floor. And the only thing I could do is text to Facebook for somebody to come to my house and get me off the floor. And thank God somebody came. Thanks, Sean. I'll never forget that. I literally could not move. My body became paralyzed in the sense of, if one more tragic thing happens to you and your stress level goes, if this is your breaking point and you were right here anyway and you have anything else happen and it goes through the roof, you're gonna fucking die, is what I felt like. And I didn't think something like that can happen. I had someone I was dating at the time tell me it could, but I didn't believe it. But when it did, it did. And it's one of the hardest things to go through because it's your mom. And so I even tell people every Mother's Day, this may be your last Mother's Day with your mother, so enjoy it. But you don't think that that last moment was the last moment. Whether they're sick or happy or sad, you don't think that it's the last moment. So for the next 5 years, I went around in this haze of depression I didn't even know I was in. And, I smoked cigars to try to calm my anxiety attacks down, which I still smoke to this day. It's how I started smoking. I know everybody has a particular story. Because it helps you focus on your breathing and calm you down when you feel an onset of anxiety coming on. And it just relaxes you. Like I said, I had other stresses that came along after that, but because I never handled that first big one well, and because I never healed or got help from that first big shock, everything that happened after that, I couldn't handle it. As I like to say, I put it in a what was that called? A vacuum bag, basically, and I shoved it in the closet. And get another vacuum bag and you shove it in the closet. So all of these compressed issues, yes, there was room initially, but if you shove so much stuff in a closet, eventually that closet is going to bust, and that's pretty much what happened. So what I would say is, if you are fresh off of this, or even if it's not even fresh, if it happened a little bit ago, it is definitely okay to lay on somebody's couch and talk about it. As a man, it's okay to cry. As a human, man or woman, it's okay to say, I'm not okay. Having good people in your life and saying, can you just come sit with me? Or I'm having a bad day. To say I want to be alone is okay. But those are the moments where I really encourage you to just have somebody come be with you. Tell them you don't want to talk. You don't want to say a word. You just want somebody to be there. And sometimes it's really helpful as well. If you are the friend of someone who just lost a mom or someone very close to them, like I said, the biggest thing for me was just knowing that someone would pick up the phone or come if I needed it. And the other thing was talking to someone who had lost their mother, because even if it's like, oh, you lost an uncle or a friend, when you lose your mom, it's totally different. And I needed to talk to someone that lost their mother. And I did talk to my brother about it. But I needed to talk to someone who lost their mother. I needed somebody who really got that moment. And I remember listening to Steve Harvey talk about his mom and how, you know, him still being a man over 50 still cried about his mom. That let me know that you're never really going to get over it. You just learn to live with it, and you don't get to deal with it. It gets to deal with you. And until that process is over, it's just something that you're going to have to go through. And it's okay to say, you know, I'm not working Mother's Day, or that's when I, you know, back up. And eventually it got better. You know, for me, 8 years later, it gets a little bit better. Excuse me. And I remember Kanye on the red carpet when he snatched the award from Taylor Swift. He had a bottle of liquor on the red carpet. I personally just saw someone who lost their mother, and that's what I felt he was going through. Whether he was, he wasn't, I can't call him on the phone and say, you know, was that it? Am I right? But people just don't give a fuck after their mom's gone, especially again when they don't have kids to kind of anchor them to this earth and make them have a reason to live. My dogs are very helpful and loving and caring about feeling like I need to stay, because I don't know if somebody's really going to love them and take care of them like me. But it does get better. They do visit you in dreams. Some dreams are good, some dreams are bad. Ignore the bad ones. But it was just really important for me to start saying something to people who lost their mothers, because I didn't have anybody really around to help me deal with that loss, you know. And I really thought that I would, you know. It was really helpful for an aunt of mine to be very mothering when my mother passed, still to this day. That was very helpful because I still needed a mom. I was, you know, an adult, but I was still a baby. And you're gonna deal with, unfortunately, a little bit of family drama. Maybe your family kind of falls apart after that if she's the glue. Maybe holidays won't be the same. Maybe some traditions will change. If you ever watch Soul Food, it really does happen like that. When the glue, when that rock goes away, everybody kind of fades away, because that was why they were there in the first place. I don't talk to a lot of my brothers like I used to. My one brother that I discussed earlier is the only one of my brothers at the time. She adopted a bunch of guys from her school. She was a teacher. A lot of them I don't talk to anymore. So people kind of fade away. So expect some major family changes. If you're left any money, don't tell anybody. Keep it to yourself. Or tell them put it in another account and you can't touch it for 50 years or something. But also learn to say no, because if you need to do certain things with that money, you do certain things with that money that person left you. They made that decision. It's their decision. And don't let anybody trick you into having some sort of issue that they got themselves into where they need your help. And don't, if you don't have to tell anybody you got it, don't immediately change your lifestyle and go out and buy a crazy car, because that money can go fast. Expect to be maybe a little nervous about new love in your life. Maybe you're still traumatized from that loss, and losing someone else might be traumatic, especially if you love them. Maybe your thought process is you'll lose them, so be very careful. I really can't give any other advice to friends other than, it's okay to call on those holidays and say, are you okay? I was happy when the holiday finally came and I got that call from one of my friends, and I was like, yeah, I am. I am okay. Thanks. It's like, and took years, but I was like, yeah, some years were better than others, depending on what I did. Some days I stayed home on Mother's Day. Hated going out because Mother's Day is like this crazy restaurant holiday. Hated working on the holiday because I worked in a restaurant. But, I was selfish about how I healed when I was aware that I was trying to heal myself. So that was a very, very big part of it. For you men out there, it is perfectly okay to cry about it. Mom, dad, sister, brother, baby, God forbid your child passes before you, but whatever, grandma, it's okay, because those tears are actually scientifically proven to help you heal and make you feel better. But once the smoke settles and the plans are made and all of that, if you need to just really take some time off, then do it. I couldn't even spell. I tried to do some work in the middle of excuse my dog. Tried to do some work in the middle of uh, processing it, and I couldn't even spell anymore. I'm a horrible speller anyway, but I couldn't write. I couldn't think. So sometimes you need to take some moments off and just slow down and relax and deep breathe and vacation or whatever is really important. But I just wanted to do this. I don't know exactly what to say to make anybody feel particularly better. I can't give you 10 steps to feeling better when your mom passed. It's not that. But I can say that you are in a now very unique, special society, secret society club that only people who have been through this can really understand what you're going through. And it does get a little bit better day by day. And one day you will wake up and go, I feel better today. I can handle Mother's Day now. I can not be as sad. It may take the birth of a child, and I'm not saying go out and just make babies, but it does give you a different viewpoint on, okay, well, now it's not about the past generation because they're supposed to pass. Now it's about the future generation, and that's where my focus could go. So don't run out and have kids, but it really is helpful to have a reason to continue to go on. But very encouraging and saying if you can get past those dark moments and not give in to them, do so. Another thing that I did was I ordered tea from a company in Arizona called Two Hawks. They do have a Facebook page, and they will mail you happy tea, which is great for depression, through the mail, and it's very reasonably cheap and works amazing. So that really helped me out. And just let your friends get you out the house. I did have a drunken night. I was visiting from Arizona in Cleveland and got drunk off my ass. I was over 21, by the way. Don't get alcohol poisoning. Don't injure yourself trying to heal. And to also, I think the biggest thing is for me, I truly, truly believe the other side is a happier, healthier place than Earth. And if that's where my mother is, that to me is amazing. She deserves it. I think that that's the best vacation she could ever go on, the best place she can ever be. And I was really happy to know that even though I felt bad, that's what I learned. I don't feel bad about the people that cross over. I feel bad about the people that are still here, because we deal with our emotions and we deal with our human missing them and our human side to dealing with death, and we don't know about the other side. So if we can actually go and see it and go, oh my God, is that where they got to go? We would be a lot more happy about losing somebody and happy for them. But it's like, oh, you're going on vacation. Well, I'm a little jealous, but this is a little different because we know that they're not necessarily coming back. The other thing I would say is that, excuse me, I'll be crying. Don't tell somebody, oh, they're here in spirit. That bullshit pissed me off because when my daughter was born, when I had an amazing moment, when something happened that I've been trying to accomplish for such a long time, when something happened that I expect my mother to be there, that they're in spirit bullshit does not make that person, at least it didn't make me feel better. Let me just say that, because you can keep all the spirits you want. Spirits that are not going to hug me, kiss me, say, I'm proud of you, all of that, they're just not going to do it. And so if anything, keep that comment to yourself. And condolences are great, but to me, they just don't make anybody feel better anyway. Money is great to give to someone because a lot of times people who are grieving are going to be out of work. Maybe they're paying for the funeral. They're trying to pay for lawyers or figure out medical bills or whatever the case may be. So money is great. Say it with money. Not being funny at all, but there are expenses and maybe plane tickets of certain people that need to fly in or fly out or whatever. Actually, when my mother passed, I had to leave the hospital for my own sanity because I couldn't see her deteriorate like that. And when I left, she passed when I was back to Arizona from Cleveland, and then I had to fly back to Cleveland for the funeral. So when I say money, I really do mean it. That's one thing that people can use. I'm sorry that this is a little bit longer than what 15 minutes might be, but I really, really want you guys to get as much information about this as you can. And I'm sorry it's such a horrible subject. Only thing I can say is just keep your phone on for your person that has lost, and for the person that is the one who is dealing with the loss. If you can, like I said, go talk to somebody. Keeping a good journal helped as well. Keeping things of her helped as well. And also, if you are lucky enough to still have your mom or dad, like I said in the beginning, it's not just about mom, but if you're still lucky enough to have anybody who you love, enjoy them while they're here. Forgive them while they're here. I did get one piece of great advice for someone that I was dating, and when they say a reason or a season, I tell you it's true, because the only thing he did was give me good advice to just get along with my mother. And that was probably I didn't talk to her for 8 months, and then for maybe about the next year or so, I got to see her once, healthy, and then by the next year she had passed. So if I didn't have that conversation, I probably still would have been not talking to my mother. So I tell people as often as possible, enjoy your mom, even if she's getting on your nerves, because trust me, one day you will pay to have her spit in your face just for a moment, for her to be in your presence. And some people do not have good relationships with their mother. I understand, but if you have she gets on my nerves, or we have some major issues, but if it's something that you can really forgive and move on with, she is going to be around for a short period of time in your long life. So do yourself a favor and try very hard to get over it. I understand that there are some people who you just can't do it with, because we're all humans, and humans have babies, and that just happened to be your mother. I get it. But if it's something that you can move on from, by all means, even if it's just a quick conversation. Hi mom, just call and check on you. You good? Okay, all right, bye. That's where I started with my relationship mending with my mother. So, and I'm at peace. And I think that's the other thing, is that I did so many sweet things for her while she was alive. I don't have any regrets about things that I should have done better. So while people are clubbing and popping bottles, truly, I bought flowers and took her out to dinner and did all kind of stuff for my mom. So I have no regrets about the time that she was on this earth and how I treated her as my mother. So I said, I really hope this helped. And it was kind of different, all over the place things. I'm sorry to do a 1 through 10 countdown, but I just wanted to speak from the heart and wish you all the best and tell you my experience. And I don't even know if I'm still in some depressive haze, but it does get better. It does. And it took me 8 years to really say that, but a lot better than the day before, the year before, trust me. So every second it'll get better. It might not feel like it, but it will. I promise.